Nick Fuentes is in a public feud with Tucker and Candace. It began after a tense on-air interview with Owens spilled into personal insults off-air. Carlson weighed in by mocking Fuentes. Fuentes fired back by accusing Carlson of being CIA across social media, blending personal attacks with personal criticism. Amy, what is going on with this?
Yeah, so let's go through and really look at each of those different occurrences that you just mentioned. Nick Fuentes, before we get into all of those, let's just frame, who this guy is and what is going on right now. Because he is one of the most controversial figures online. It was the case that even a year or so ago, you had to literally put asterisks in his name if you wanted to mention it in your YouTube video, otherwise you would be demonetized. He is banned from the platform itself. Yet recently, we were talking about it, I've seen him in clips everywhere.
Yeah, all over YouTube, yeah.
Right now, CNN has even aired some of his clips because it fit their narrative at the time when he was criticizing Trump. He's kind of a walking contradiction because he's branded America first, but he's actually hated by a lot of the MAGA base. He is a devout Catholic, known for saying the N-word very frequently, the main reason why PBD actually won't have him on the podcast, and denying the Holocaust. So this is a very interesting character. He has some very, very extreme beliefs.
Holocaust completely?
Not completely, the numbers.
He says that 6 million didn't die, correct?
Correct. That is.
But he doesn't deny that it happened?
Hold on, he uses the N-word. That's like...
Very frequently.
Yeah.
PBD,
wow.
It's funny, PBD,
I haven't even heard of this guy.
Someone asked PBD at Turning Point USA if they would have him on the podcast, and PBD was like, have some respect. I want to have people on who can display respect, and he uses that word way too frequently.
Wow.
Word got back to Nick, and his reaction was actually really funny. He was like, that's ridiculous. And then he instantly disagreed with himself, and he's like, but he's right. Okay, yeah, I should stop using it. And then he tried, but... old habits die hard. He started using it.
He's pretty open about his anti-Semitism and racism.
Exactly.
He doesn't try to hide it. He puts it on full display.
Exactly. And that's why it was so interesting when he made the conscious choice to go on Candace's show, and why people were surprised that she even had him on, because he has been very vocal about his opinions on women as well as people of color. So what we can do, what really started this all before she went on Tucker, she had Nick on. We're going to play probably one of the most contentious clips from that segment where she says to Nick, you talk about traditional values, all of these things. Where's your wife? Where's your family? And that's what kind of kicked this all off.
How old is this kid?
He's 26 years old.
Okay. Well.
I also think there's something selfless involved, which is to say, I could go and start a family and drag them into a world of mine, which is pretty chaotic. I mean, is this really the kind of a lifestyle? If I'm banned on everything and I can't make a living, I'm banned from banking, I'm banned from credit card processing, I'm getting doxxed, people are showing up to my house trying to kill me, things like that. And what's more, I mean, let's also get, I also don't appreciate the lecture. You don't know me, so I know you're married, I know you're older than me, but you don't know me, you don't know my life, you don't know my situation. I don't think you're in a position to give me advice, especially as a woman, honestly. I don't think women, this is something in the right wing, we say we're anti-feminist, and then women go around telling men what to do, or not their husbands. And, I don't really buy into that ideologically, but that's besides the point. My life has been tumultuous from the very beginning. From the time I turned 18, people were coming for my neck and trying to get me, and I was kicked out of college. And then, once you're branded as an anti-Semite, before it became cool or popular, can't get a job, can't make a living, get banned from PayPal, all this kind of stuff. That's a very difficult environment to try to have a dating life. What do? I go out on Tinder, I go to a bar, and I say, hey, I'm a neo-Nazi Nick Fuentes that the ADL is writing articles about every day. I'm going to start a dating profile on Tinder.
All right, I think we can...
that, mess with me in all kinds of ways. It's very difficult.
We can cut it there. So, I mean, everything he's saying is true, guys. He has been debanked. He has been deplatformed. At one point, he was on a no-fly list. And this all started with a feud that he actually had with Jeremy Boring and Ben Shapiro from the Daily Wire. He was working with them way back in the day. We know their position on Israel. And then when he started voicing certain opinions, the cancellation campaign emerged. Now, let me preface by saying this. Nick, Anna believes that he's a genuine anti-Semite.
He says he is.
Does he say?
Yeah,
here's
let me hold on real quick.
Chance. It's like I'm not familiar with that.
I don't watch his content.
I don't either. I've never heard of him.
So I wanted to make sure that I didn't smear him, even though I had my suspicions about who he really is. So I watched a bunch of his recent content. And the point of contention between him, Tucker Carlson, and Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens on one side, Nick is on the other, right? So Tucker and Candace have been very critical of Israel.
Correct.
And Zionism, whereas Nick Fuentes, and this is what he said on a recent episode of his show, he's like, no, it's not just Israel, he says it's the Jews, right? So that's how he differentiates himself. So he's openly, you know,
makes no bones about it.
he doesn't really make bones about it.
so
So I disagree.
chance.
I disagree with that in its entirety. What I can say about him is he does actually make astute points about the way that our government has been hijacked by Israel. He says a lot of things that are BS. He also makes good points. And one thing that I want to just offer out there is I think that this is a man who is incredibly jaded, who he feels like he had his life ripped from him for voicing genuine opinions in the beginning. And then when the exact people who he was trying to not speak about those people, but speak about the agenda in general, when the people involved in that agenda double down to destroy his life, to deplatform him, to debank him, to do all of these things, I would have a little chip on my shoulder as well.
I'm
It
curious.
doesn't justify it.
Yeah, Amy, I'm curious. You mentioned all these things. How does he make a living? Who is funding this?
So he has his own, he was doing some stuff on Cozy TV. He was recently reinstated on X by Elon Musk.
Yeah.
He also has a Rumble account. So he makes money
So
through
subscribers.
his content,
Okay.
but just not through the typical channels. He's banned on YouTube. He's
So-
banned on all of these various
So look,
things.
Amy, I hear what you're saying, because in the middle of some pretty reprehensible, disgusting stuff that he says about Jewish people, which I do not agree with at all.
Correct.
You know, he makes commentary that I do agree with and is actually spot on in regard to foreign influence of our politicians. However, the good points, in my view, get muddled through hateful rhetoric. And for me, it's really, really important to draw a distinction, because there is no problem with Jewish people at all, period. When we're being critical of Israel, we're being critical of
the country,
a
the
political
government,
ideology of
yes.
the government. And I don't want that to be conflated with hatred toward Jewish people.
It definitely is, though, and that's why people have to be so careful with that
That's what I'm
narrative.
saying.
There's
You
no
do have to be
question
careful,
That's
yes.
happening. I'm still can't get over the fact that the guy used the N-word.
Yeah.
Did he actually say this, or
Many times, many,
Just casually.
many
In like what
times.
context?
I mean, just
singing a
recently.
Kanye song?
I mean,
Call
okay,
someone
so one of his black supporters wrote and said, "Hey, brother Nick, like blah blah blah," and then he started saying, "Sorry, PBD, I have to say it. I'm the real N-word. Someone needs to show these people who the real
hold on.
N-word is."
So just for context, just so I understand it, he's not calling a black person the N-word. He's trying to appropriate the culture.
I wouldn't say appropriate the culture, but he's using hyperbole. He knows that it gets views, it pisses people off, it inflames emotions.
I'm not saying this is better, but there
inflammatory-
is a huge difference between calling a black person an N-word.
Yeah, no, he doesn't. That's not
saying,
what he's doing.
Jillian,
Like,
you're
there was a
right,
time
because-
when white people used to constantly be like, yo, my N-I-G-G-A. And I remember a lot, it was like the cool thing to do, because
When?
Yeah, I mean,
Mama, always.
really?
GGA.
Well,
Yeah.
well, what's
like, it was like
crazy-
my homie, my brother, my friend
remember-
is what it meant. And I was like, the day's coming where this
Remember
is going to be a problem.
Back in the early, in the
No, it was a
aughts,
whole thing. It wasn't meant to be a bad thing,
right,
but
but,
nevertheless,
like,
I was like, I
Listen,
don't
back
think-
in Australia, I could rap Busta Rhymes' whole section off by heart, and then I moved to America and learned I'm not allowed to do that here. So,
You used to be. You did used
Well,
to be.
back
Alright.
in the early 10s, we remember
Yes.
N in Paris, the Kanye song.
Yes,
It was-
yes.
I'm not trying, and I'm not trying to say that this is right or wrong. I just needed clarity from my sanity if he was actually calling people the N-word.
As
Gotcha.
a
And he-
sneer.
Like, because
He said he's dead. Look, I mean, you're right, Amy. He says things that are going to attract a lot of negative attention. He does it intentionally, and he can't be surprised when he gets negative attention, and there are consequences to it. I don't agree with someone being debanked. You literally destroy someone's life, even if they have disgusting, bigoted, racist views. I think it has to be something very extreme, like, I don't know, engaging in like
terrorism or
terrorism or
something.
something
Well,
like
they
that
did
to
it
be
to
debanked.
Trump. They
But
debanked
hold on,
him,
real
like-
quick. We got to stay on topic because
Yes.
this is about the feud.
Let's
right?
get
So
into
let's
the
get
next
back to the
video,
feud.
100%. So, Connor, let's queue up. So, after this instance, Nick and Candace were beefing back and forth on X. She wanted to challenge him to a rematch. There were various things that were said, but let's just jump into this video where she joins Tucker Carlson, and this is really what escalated the feud.
The only reason I know who he is because someone sent me a video a few years ago of him attacking me, and I was like, so I'm looking at this, and I'm like, well, first of all, this kid's really talented, like legit, and I can assess that just having done the job for so long. So I was like, wow, lots of talent, native talent. And he's attacking my dad as a CIA, his dad's in the CIA or whatever. And I'm like, well, that's no, untrue. Then my father dies, and I learn, actually, yeah, was involved in that world. I was completely shocked by it. So no one has to believe me, but that's just a fact.
Right.
This was in March of this year. And I'm like, well, how the hell would this child from Chicago, my dad was 84 when he passed. Like, who's this guy know who my dad is? And like, he's in intelligence. How would he know that?
Yeah, so then Candace goes on to say, if it makes you feel any better, he accused me of being a Russian asset. And then what Tucker says, I find this a little bit odd. I believe in Tucker's integrity. I think he's a genuine person. He genuinely loves this country. I did find the comment a little bit odd, though. I don't know if you can find it to pull up later, Connor, where he says, well, you would be more likely to be a Russian asset than I would be likely to be in the CIA because I really hate the CIA, which I feel like was a little bit of a low blow to Candace.
But then he says something that really ruffled Nick Fuentes' feathers, and it's this.
Yes, let's go ahead and play that one, please.
Either A, it's being driven from like a little boy insecurity, and he just was so worried that he just went on the attack because he doesn't know how to have normal relations after being banned everywhere.
Well, I think there's
that could be one element.
The angry gay kid thing going on. Yeah.
The angry gay kid thing. So that really upset him, and then Nick goes nuclear.
No, Nick is a devout Catholic, so he believes he's strongly against like homosexuality. He believes in like.
Why would he say this guy, Jillian?
But
I hate this. I know how important this is to litigate, but like I genuinely cannot stand this kind of like.
A lot of people think he is gay.
Like gossip, weird.
It is a rumor mill.
Well, he once said that it was gay for men to be in like relationships with women. Like he had this weird spiel about like.
I think it was like cohabitating with your wife. I think. Plus, I'm not.
But anyway, it doesn't matter. I don't care if he's gay or not. But like that really set him off.
100%.
And then he goes nuclear on Tucker specifically.
Exactly.
And Tucker gets caught in a lie.
So what happened though? They're basically, aside from the little gay kid comment, they also accuse him of being a Fed as well. Like, how would Nick have known? How would he have been privy to this information about my father before I even knew? He must have some type of ties to intelligence. So that's kind of the logic that Tucker is using, plus the fact that, and this is something that Milo Yiannopoulos shared, but Nick was at the Capitol January 6th. He was, speaking, riling people up, and no charges against him. So that's also something that they are leveraging to say that Nick could be a Fed. Now, for me, before we get into the next video, that seems highly unlikely. Why would they de-platform, debank, like, somebody who is on their team?
I don't think Nick Fuentes is
me either. But then he slaps back at Tucker Carlson and in what he calls an all-out expose, a very long stream where he essentially accuses Tucker of being a neocon, a Fed, and for having full knowledge that his father was actually involved with intelligence. So he's basically, at this point, it's like the Spider-Man meme where everyone's pointing to each other and it's like, you're a Fed, you're a Fed, you're a Fed.
Although Fuentes brought receipts and Tucker Carlson did get caught in a lie. So,
he did, yes.
Something is going on. I never follow this guy's content, but he's suddenly all over my X feed. I've never seen.
That's what I'm telling you guys. It's blowing up in the national conversation. So let's go ahead and play this next clip, please.
Between me and Tucker, one of us is going to call the other gay. I mean, really? Like, let's just stop with the pretense.
I don't get what that means.
Tucker's me and Tucker, I don't think either of us are the epitome of like macho alpha males. You're going to call me gay and then you're going to go, oh, like, really?
It's pretty funny.
Yeah, that is good.
That's good. Daddy's boy Tucker with the girls laugh.
Feud?
I don't
You're
think it is,
calling me gay?
really,
I don't think any of us really have a leg to stand out on that one.
He's actually doing damage to Tucker, like significant damage.
Do you have that clip where he talks about the CIA ties more specifically?
Yes.
Here's what I don't understand. Why is this blowing up in the national conversation? What are we meant to take away from this?
Well, really, there's like now this, I actually think that it's disturbing because I do see Nick Fuentes as different from Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson used to be a neocon, and he's been remorseful about that.
He has been.
Absolutely remorseful about that. And so he is not anti-Semitic. He has not said anything negative about Jewish people, but he is critical of Israel's government. Nick Tucker, yeah.
With you.
And Candace kind of falls in that camp, although she said some stuff in the past. Anyway, putting that aside. then with Nick, and he has said this recently, what sets me apart from Tucker and Candace is I blame the Jews, right? And so that's like it's almost like a competition, and I'm worried because
it's a race
Nick
to the bottom.
did catch Tucker Carlson in a lie. It turns out he actually did know about his father.
Yeah, I
being
saw
in
the
intelligence.
montage of all the clips.
Like a year ago, he was talking about it on the Sean Ryan show. We're going to show the clip in just a minute. And since he got caught in that lie, now a bunch of people in Tucker's audience have turned on him. They think he's CIA, and that has increased the popularity of Nick Fuentes.
As we can see evidence by this.
I'm with you.
Let's pull this up right now. We can see that Nick's response video to Tucker and Candace, two of some of the biggest names in conservative media, like it outperformed their segment by nearly double.
Yeah.
So this guy is catching a lot of attention right now. One thing I just want to mention is that Nick has been talking about this stuff long before it became acceptable and cool. He was questioning
What's acceptable and cool?
Well,
let's carefully.
Yeah, and I don't mean cool in the
what's
literal
acceptable
sense.
and
I mean,
cool?
it's trendy right now for people to be critical of Israel. It's people are seeing it. We have a gang mentality, a herd mentality. People need to see that it's okay to talk about something, question something, before they start injecting their own opinions.
I think it's really interesting that Tucker isn't just getting it from Nick. He's getting it from people like Laura Loomer, who's accusing Tucker, I think, baselessly, with all respect, of being a Qatari agent.
Well, okay, here's the thing. Laura Loomer is a neocon, even though she purports not to be, or is in favor of neocons at least. She claims she's against them and is like purging Trump's administration of them. That is not true. And out of the two, in terms of who would be taken seriously in terms of criticism of the Israeli government, obviously Tucker Carlson has more credibility because he doesn't just wrap it into, oh, it's the Jews. He's being critical of, he's being precise and critical of the government.
I think that's precisely why people are coming after
That's
him.
Yes, exactly. So
Well,
I'm like,
I think it's good for me to say it too, because I also just want to say something. Anna, you and I have butted heads over Israel in the past. I mean, we've been doing this show for a number of months now. Again, I'm actually famously known for changing my mind. My mind has changed even since the first episode of this show.
I think a lot of people
On which issue?
On Israel.
Okay.
On what
I do want to say,
Israel's
I
doing in
feel like it's important for this to be said, though, because the stakes are so high. And I want to give you credit. And the situation has only solidified your perspective. At the start of the show, I was willing to give Israel some benefit of the doubt. I just was. But I also want to be clear, this has nothing to do. In fact, you know, Israelis are protesting against Bibi Netanyahu. My problem was with his regime and the two
I almost
far right.
wish we could say his party, because
his party is a huge problem.
I have to admit,
huge problem.
You guys bring up things that are alarming, so it's like it's trendy to bash Israel, and you're seeing it play out in hate crimes, and then it transcends into then the Jews and.
It's not I'm not saying that as an endorsement of what's happening.
No,
it's an
I know
astute observation.
I know you're not.
We can see the anti-Semitic rhetoric increasing as well as legitimate
It's
criticism simultaneously.
Dangerous.
And the issue with Nick is his message gets so watered down and discredited by lumping in all of that rhetoric. You know, no one's going to take him seriously.
And so I don't want legitimate voices on the right to be destroyed because look, can we play the video of like the Tucker lie? Like, I don't know what's going on with that. I don't think Tucker Carlson is CIA.
Sean Ryan, if we could find that one, please. But so here's what I want to ask. Do you guys think that it could be a possibility that it has nothing to do with Tucker being CIA? Maybe he knew about his dad, but he was just aware of PR, public perception, how that would look.
He hates the CIA.
And that is the
Tucker
reason why
felt shame about it, honestly.
Okay.
I think he felt shame about it. Because when he was interviewed on the Sean Ryan show and he was like asked, or he talked about his father, he didn't say my father is in or was in the CIA or is in the CIA. He says he did some work with them, something along those lines. Right?
He overdid it. Like, he overstated that.
Yeah, just like he did with Candace too. Like, that line was weird. It just felt off. Tucker is such a genuine person. He has the most like genuine, joyous laugh I've ever heard. Genuine person.
I do like
So when
that
he's
laugh.
not being genuine, at least it feels that way. It's so obvious. And I was just like, that was a weird thing to say. That was a weird statement.
So Nick Fuentes thinks that what Tucker Carlson is essentially doing is this like mind game on conservative audiences to essentially help J.D. Vance, who Nick Fuentes believes is actually a puppet of the neocons.
Manchurian Candidate,
Yes,
Peter
which-
Thiel's spawn, like.
By the way, I think Nick's comments in regard to J.D. Vance's connections to Peter Thiel and Palantir. Peter Thiel is a huge Zionist, by the way. He's providing the Palantir surveillance and monitoring in Gaza. So anyway, like, it did make me question who J.D. Vance is.
Yes, and
you
Nick
know?
does
And
that. He makes
fascinating.
people question
Yeah.
things, but then when when he lumps in all of this terrible rhetoric
Yeah.
at the same time, like you said, criticizing Jewish people, it discredits the narrative, and people aren't going to take him seriously.
I want to say one more thing, and this can beget, you know, as much anger and upset and controversy as you guys want to throw my way. But, you know, I asked Barry Weiss about Zionism, and she goes, I am a Zionist. Being a Zionist simply means that you believe Israel is allowed to exist. She did not say that it means you wipe out Palestine.
That's what my roommate says too.
And I kind of want to be like
Barry Weiss
real.
also, on a regular basis, downplays what's happening to the Palestinian people. She has, through her publication, tried to throw cold water on the notion that Palestinians are being starved to death when there's a mountain of evidence proving that it's true. She is biased on that issue.
Okay.
And so, and by the way, CBS News, which is poised to buy the Free Press for $250 million.
Wait, are you serious?
Yeah. By the way, I don't mind. I don't mind her being successful
I like a female.
at all.
I like that she left the New York Times.
But that's not why I'm bringing it up.
You're right. You're right. Go ahead.
I'm bringing it up because the incoming CEO of CBS, remember they merged. There was a big CBS merger. He's very open and honest about how he wants to buy the Free Press because of its pro-Israel bias.
What's his name? It's fine. I can.
I'm forgetting. Altman. Something Altman. Anyway, I'm forgetting his first name. Long story short, she is biased, and so I wouldn't really lean too heavily on her take on what's happening in Gaza.
No, not her take. The definition of that word is what I'm trying to sort of be very delicate with, because by
her reporting does not lead me to believe that she is serious in being honest about what's happening.
She was fair when she did my podcast, and she was very fair that Netanyahu was far from perfect. That
Netanyahu is a war criminal.
She was, in my opinion, she was fair. She was simply talking about how this begets anti-Semitism, what being a Zionist means, and that definition meant literally Israel has a right to exist, not to wipe out Palestine. So I just. Okay, I'm certainly no expert in this, and I want to stay away from it, because the minute I feel like
Jillian, honestly, I think I'm the closest to you to your point of view on this panel. I do want to say that that's her particular definition of Zionism, because there are a lot of people who have a much more belligerent understanding of Zionism, and I just think it's so tragic because some of the strongest advocates for Netanyahu finally leaving the stage happen to be Jewish. And they get lost.
Right. Well, and this is the same conversation, but this harkens way back a week ago to me saying there were also good white people that were trying to end slavery.
Yeah.
I know we need to move on.
This isn't about Jews.
And there are
like,
people
it's really important to remember that. This is not about Jews. Like, it's not about Jewish people. There's wonderful Jewish people all across the globe.
And that's right, because if we weaponize anti-Semitism as a term and as, you know, as a weapon to throw at anyone who dares to criticize Israel, you are muffling very warranted and substantiated criticism. Something like, even in the past week, they killed an Al Jazeera reporter.
They killed 6 journalists in the same press.
Right, but that one, and they labeled him Hamas
without providing any evidence.
And we're all waiting for it. Like.
Thank you so much for watching Her Take. If you like the show, can you help us out by subscribing to the channel, clicking the notification button, sharing, commenting, joining the conversation? It helps us out a ton with the algorithm. We appreciate you.